Well, good morning. This is Mark Ittleman, speech language pathologist. And the title of this video is about what we work on in speech therapy. You know, I've been doing speech therapy for 46 years now, and I've learned a lot of lessons about what to do in speech therapy and what not to do in speech therapy. But you just learn that when you do anything for a long time, you master it. And there have been a number of books written about how long it takes to master a subject. Some say 10,000 hours, some say more, some say less. It really doesn't matter. But I've learned a lot of lessons, and I'd like to share a few with you just very briefly. When I first started out, I really didn't know what to do. I didn't really know what was effective because I didn't have the experience. You know, in college they have great books to read, but it's not until really that you get out of school that you learn about the finer nuances of doing therapy. That's a little bit different with surgeons or heart surgeons. They have to practice for years and years and years, and they have to intern, and they have to serve under expert surgeons. And it's a long, tedious process. It's not quite as long with a speech language pathologist, and the training isn't as intensive, especially in areas such as aphasia. Aphasia is a subject that sometimes is covered for 1 or 2 semesters in a college program, and there's a practicum or practice that is given for a few semesters, and then that's it. Once the student leaves the university, they have a basic understanding of aphasia, but they really haven't practiced it very much, and therefore they don't always have the background and the training to really be effective when they first get out of school. And that's just the way it is. That's the way it is with teachers, and that's the way it is with many occupations. So there's no criticism about that. It's just the reality of it all. So here are a couple of the lessons that I learned. Number one, when I first started out, I really didn't know what to do, so I had to reach for whatever was published. And so whenever I would want to do therapy, I'd get a published workbook, or I'd get a published program on what to do for aphasia. And it really didn't take into account, those books really didn't take into account individual differences of the patients I was seeing. What I would do as an error, now that I look back on it, was I'd pick out these exercises and have them complete phrases and complete sentences and name things, but it didn't really deal with talking. It just dealt with seeing an object and naming it, or finishing a phrase, or working on opposites, or working on similarities, those kind of things. And there wasn't really any talking involved. There were just these exercises that the book told us to do, and so we did them. And as I would do those exercises with these patients, I'd scratch my head and think that, gosh, I wasn't really talking with them. I wasn't really communicating with them. I was just doing these exercises that seemed to be far removed from talking. And this was always kind of a craw in my side. And I just wasn't really happy doing that kind of therapy because there wasn't a real connection with the person. They would just come in and I'd have some workbook pages ready for them to do, and we would do them, and then they'd say goodbye. But there was nothing discussed about who they were or what they did or what their interests were or what their dreams were or what their challenges were or what their upsets were or what they were having conflicts about. And that just bothered me until I decided to stop doing those workbooks and stop doing those exercises that didn't really seem to help me connect with the patient and really didn't seem like they were related to talking. So that's the story, Glory. That's the story of how I came about to change what I was doing to help people with aphasia. Now I get to know people with aphasia. Now I talk with them. And the good part of the therapy is conversation, where I teach them how to say words. And I teach them how to put words together within a conversation of something that's important to them, a conversation that relates to them, a conversation where they share with me who they are, and I share with them who I am. And that's just a great way to do therapy, and I'll tell you why it's a great way to do therapy. It's a great way to do therapy because you get to know each other, and that's what conversation is all about. And it's natural, and it's easy, and it's helpful, and it gets results. This is Mark Ittleman, speech-language pathologist, sharing with you ideas about aphasia. I hope you've benefited from this short little video. And if you need to contact me, please do so below. We have a link to our website. We have a link to my email address. And there's also a link to a survey if you'd like to schedule an appointment to me. So why don't you do just that? And let's get to know each other. And if you really want to help your loved one, contact me today, and we can set up a time where we can discuss what your challenges are and see if your loved one is a good candidate for speech therapy with the teaching of talking method. So on that, I'm going to say goodbye, have a great day, and hope to speak to you soon. Bye-bye now.